Pour yourself a glass of water right now and look at it. Clear, cold, completely safe. You'll drink it without a flicker of thought, the way you've done tens of thousands of times. But that glass is one of the strangest things you own, because for more than 300,000 years, not a single one of your ancestors ever drank water like it. Theirs came from rivers animals waded into, ponds where things died, puddles crawling with creatures too small to see. By every rule we live by today, that water should have killed them. It didn't. And the reason why is far stranger than you think. And part of the answer is alive inside your body at this very moment. Let's start by killing the assumption hiding in the question. We picture our ancestors as people who simply hadn't figured out water yet, drinking from any filthy stream, getting sick, dying young, too primitive to know better. That image feels obvious. It's also almost completely wrong. The truth is, bad water is one of the most ruthless killers on Earth, and it still is. Even today, contaminated water kills well over 1 million people a year, draining the body of fluid until the heart gives out. Our ancestors had no medicine for any of it. So if dirty water is this lethal, and they drank it every single day for thousands of generations, why didn't they all simply die? They couldn't afford to get this wrong, so they didn't. The first answer is the one almost everyone misses. They barely drank dirty water at all. They were ruthlessly, expertly picky. To an ancient human, a landscape wasn't just scenery. It was a map of safe and deadly water, read as fluently as you read a road sign. They knew fast-moving water from a spring was far safer than a still, stagnant pond, because moving water doesn't give dangerous bugs time to bloom. They knew water bubbling up from the ground had been filtered by the earth itself. They drank upstream, never where animals waded and fouled the flow. They could see the danger in a green film, smell it in a stale pool, taste it in a single mouthful, and spit it out. This wasn't instinct or luck. It was a vast body of life or death knowledge, tested by who lived and who didn't, and handed down for thousands of years. But here's where the story takes its first strange turn, because picky habits alone don't explain it. Even the safest wild water carries bugs, so why didn't those bugs wreck them? The answer is that their bodies were a different kind of machine than yours. Drink from the same water sources your whole life, from birth, and your gut quietly builds an arsenal against the local bacteria. The ones whose defenses failed didn't survive to have children. The ones who could stomach it passed those hardened guts on. Over thousands of years, this produced people whose immune systems and gut bacteria were armored against water that would put you on a drip within hours. You've seen a faint shadow of this yourself. It's the exact reason a tourist gets violently ill from tap water that locals drink every day without blinking. The water didn't change. The body did. The local's gut spent a lifetime learning that water. Yours never had the chance. Now stretch that adaptation across 10,000 generations, and you get an ancient human whose stomach was a fortress, fed daily by the very water that would hospitalize you. And yet, and this is the part most people never consider, they didn't just endure bad water. They quietly engineered their way around it, without understanding a thing about why it worked. Think about that for a second. Solutions so effective, they didn't even need to understand the problem. They dug pits beside rivers and let sand and soil filter the water that seeped in. They caught rain, which falls clean, and licked dew from leaves at dawn. They drank the water sealed inside certain plants and fruits, already purified by nature. In frozen lands, they melted clean snow and ice. They were running a whole toolkit of water purification with no idea that anything needed purifying. Then came the discovery that changed everything, and they stumbled into it completely blind. Heat. Once humans had fire, some began warming their water into broths and hot drinks. Boiling kills almost everything dangerous in water, but no one knew that. They only noticed a pattern. People who drank their water hot, or steeped into tea, or simmered into broth, fell sick less often. This is a hidden reason hot drink traditions took such deep root across so many cultures, not by design, but by survival. The cultures that drank hot survived longer and passed the habit down. Tea was never just comfort. It was sterilization disguised as a warm cup. And here's the twist that makes the whole thing click into place. The same quiet logic explains why weak fermented drinks spread everywhere too. Fermentation kills off many of the dangerous organisms, so for long stretches of history, a mild brew was simply safer than the water beside it. Hot drinks and fermented drinks. Two completely different rituals, two completely different cultures, but the same invisible reason underneath both of them. Across the ancient world, two of humanity's most beloved traditions weren't really invented for pleasure at all. They were survival technology, so effective that they outlived the danger that created them and became culture. We kept the ritual and forgot the reason. Then, finally, we ended the war entirely. We discovered germs. We understood, for the first time in human history, what was actually living in the water and why it killed. We built wells, then pipes, then filtration plants and chemical treatment, until clean water poured from a tap in nearly every home. It is, without exaggeration, one of the greatest life-saving achievements in all of human history, a quiet revolution that added decades to the average human life and saved hundreds of millions from deaths that were once simply considered normal. But winning that war cost us something we rarely notice. The protection that saves us is the exact thing that made us fragile. Their guts could handle water that would floor us in a day. Ours have never been tested, so they fold the moment a single unfamiliar microbe slips through. They could read a water source with one glance, smell death in a pond, know precisely where to drink. We've lost every scrap of it. We built water so perfectly safe that the very water humans thrived on for 300,000 years is now genuine poison to our soft, sheltered bodies. You didn't make water safe. You inherited a world where someone already did, and quietly traded away the armored gut and the wild knowledge that kept every ancestor before you alive, one careful sip at a time.